This is the music news.
Starting off with some sad news, some RIP last week, I believe right when we were recording last week's episode. Noted drummer Jim Gordon died at the age of 77. He died on March 13th. He was a drummer, notably for Derek and the Dominos, for Eric Clapton solo stuff, for George Harrison solo stuff, for the Everly Brothers, Frank Zappa, Joe Cocker, Steely Dan's Pretzel Logic album, etc., etc. He played Orange Juice Cups on God Only Knows by the Beach Boys on Pet Sounds. He was part of the auxiliary crew of the Wrecking Crew in Los Angeles. Started playing with the Everly Brothers when he was like 16 years old. And then kind of like a who's who session player for the next 15 years. Unfortunately, undiagnosed schizophrenic who killed his mother in his late 30s in 1983, I believe. And he spent the last 40 years of his life in a medical psychiatric criminal facility in California. So, R.I.P., great recordings, troubled life,
Rest in peace. Amazing
peace.
drummer.
Yeah.
Some of my
Amazing drummer.
favorite recordings.
He played
Yeah.
the Apache drums for the Incredible Bongo Band.
Oh.
One of the most
Oh,
sampled
my.
drum things of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Played the piano part at the end of the Layla coda.
Oh, right.
Featured
right.
in Goodfellas, etc. And yeah, just look up the credits, listen to the songs. He was like a protege of Hal Blaine of the Wrecking Crew, and he is someone that like everybody in the late 70s and 80s modeled their drum playing on because he was like that kind of player. So.
Yeah. Well, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
Some music news that I have. Rick Ross is back in the news. Before he was being, or the last time we talked about him, he was being accused of being a hoarder. Now his buffalo have broken through his fencing.
He's been
and
hoarding buffalo.
Apparently Rick Ross has a collection of buffaloes.
Just two. He just got two.
And
He's got two and one got loose.
Both got loose.
in Fayetteville, Georgia. Yeah, he lives on like this huge compound. Apparently the security system was breached and they were roaming, as it were, around the neighborhood, grazing on some grass and also destroying yards and getting into people's garbage.
Shout out to all the pair.
Yeah.
Rick Ross calls his compound, his ranch, the Promised Land, and went on social media
Very
promptly
biblical.
after and thanked his neighbors for the safe return of his buffalo, and also shouted out that if you see his buffalo, just give him an apple. They're nice. There's some nice buffalo.
Yeah.
Don't hurt his buffalo.
Yeah, don't hurt
and
the buffalo.
Bring them back to the Promised Land. So.
Yeah.
Promised land.
Yeah, although the county marshal did say, quote, "As captivating as these animals are, we encourage everyone to use caution if they were to encounter them. Although they are mostly docile, they can be unpredictable and possibly become aggressive." So, Rick Ross, I'd love to feed your buffalo apples, but I think I'm just going to steer clear of the buffalo.
Steer clear.
Thank you. Luke?
Like that. Have you guys seen the Meg White drumming controversy
Oh,
that has
yes.
happened this week? I was wanted to shout out a critic. I mean, I am one of these, I guess. Gave his opinion on Twitter that the White Stripes would have been a half decent band if Meg White was a half decent drummer, and went on from there. To diatribe into why he thinks she's not a good drummer, and he's heard all the reasons why people think she's a good drummer. The internet clapped back in hard retort. Questlove and the like. Jack White wrote a nice thing for his bandmate, who will not play, probably because of a lot of criticism like this that seems to have come up about with this band. Questlove, shouted out Meg White being like a great drummer and like being for that band. And I'm gonna shout in this podcast, Meg White's one of my favorite drummers of all time. Like inspired me to play the drums in a lot of ways. And master of that communist groove, man. You got to know somebody real tight to play with only guitar and drums. It's so open. So shout out to one of my favorite drummers, and I just wanted to give some internet love. I know there's already a lot going around, but thought that was of note this week.
I agree. She's kind of the epitome of like the meat and potatoes type drummer. You know what I mean? And it's like you think
Doing
that,
what you need to do.
Yeah, and it's like there's a misconception I think around that idea where you think, oh well, it's just like doom pop, and it's like it's not that easy. It's like
it's not that easy, and you got to serve this what you're doing. You know?
Right.
So shout out
Yeah.
Meg White, great drummer.
Yes. Here.
This week, Ed Sheeran was the Rolling Stone cover artist, and he has announced he's already working on an album to be released posthumously. And I say, let's have it as soon as we can.
I saw that too. It was so confusing. A bit narcissistic, maybe.
Oh, just a bit.
A whole lot of bit.
That's something I could see like Prince doing, and like Prince didn't even do that.
No.
Like he was like, nah, and like that's like the princiest Prince thing of all time to do. You know?
It's like, you know, I don't know. Who cares?
Release it. Come on.
Release it.
Call Panic at the Disco and break up the band.
Yeah. Well, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see how soon we get our hands on that album. We'll definitely review it.
I'm dying to hear it.
Oh my God. In other news, Def Leppard drummer Rick Allen was attacked. Did you hear about
I
this?
did hear about this,
Oh,
but
my
like, tell me
goodness.
about
By
it.
a buffalo?
No, not by a buffalo, by a 19-year-old. He was outside of a hotel in Fort Lauderdale, and 19-year-old Max Hartley ran at him full speed and tackled him, causing him to hit the ground. He was arrested shortly thereafter, and I guess this kid was like wreaking havoc and breaking car windows and stuff like that.
I was gonna ask, was this
You
a
know.
meth-induced incident?
I mean, it was in Florida, so
Could have been anything.
Or was this just a rabid Def Leppard fan?
I don't think. I mean, maybe
I want rock and roll.
19 years old?
19 years old.
No way.
This asshole has no arm. Fuck him.
What do you want?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
But Rick Allen's all right.
Rick Allen seems to be okay. Yes, I think he is pressing charges though. So, you know, whatever that means.
He's only got one arm. You can't lose the other.
Well, you know, that's the money arm.
That's right.
So what can you do? But
An arm
Def
for an
Leppard.
eye.
On other news, Def Leppard is also
An arm for an eye.
an
An
arm for
arm
an eye.
as
I couldn't let that one
Hammurabi
slide by.
said.
As you could say, we're keeping it biblical. We are keeping it biblical. Thank you, Alex. Def Leppard has also announced an orchestral album recorded by the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. So that's fun as well.
It's
The
not.
Royal
I wonder if he
Harmonic
can. I wonder if he's playing
Orchestra.
timpani with his feet. That Rick Allen, maybe
He can do anything.
He can.
I'm more into the Metallica S&M.
Oh, so you're among friends.
Rock on.
Rock and roll. All right, Luca.
All right. Somebody told you about Ticketmaster last week. If you listened to this in The Cure and how the fees were as high as the ticket prices themselves, Ticketmaster went, and because of all this backlash and Robert Smith and his constant badgering back at Ticketmaster at all of these offenses, he got refunds for the fans. So there's like between $5 and $10 refunds going out that have been seen on Twitter, and a lot of people got refunded money. I saw somebody on Instagram that I follow got refunded money, so it was pretty interesting. And I just want to make that of note that The Cure actually got Ticketmaster to refund people those outrageous fees. So pretty interesting.
Good on The
and
Cure.
Go The Cure. Rock on.
Yeah, very nice.
You can buy half of one overpriced beer now with that $5.
There you go.
An $8 Bud Light is now $7.50. Sly Stone, who we thought was dead, apparently wrote a
I
memoir.
thought was dead.
I knew he's alive. Always.
I fucking knew he was alive.
Yeah, I never cared. Sly Stone apparently is writing a memoir. No, I do. I love Sly Stone.
Yeah.
I love Son of Family Stone. He is writing a memoir, which should be fun. It should be very, very interesting. Sly Stone has kind of been an elusive figure, I guess you could say. But he's had some pretty high highs, some pretty low lows. I know that he was homeless at one point. And yeah, he was heavily featured. If you want some cool Sly Stone footage, you can watch the Questlove documentary.
Summer of Soul.
Summer of Soul, thank you. There's some cool Sly and the Family Stone footage on that. They're a great band. Definitely give them a listen. But it should be an interesting. I think it would be a very interesting book. You know.
Yeah, Questlove is putting this book out, which I
Yep.
wanted to make note, and
Publishing,
publishing the book, which is really cool. And Sly Stone is one of the greatest figures in American music, and one of the most I think kind of tragic figures in American music. He was one of the most beloved pop stars of his era, and then was kind of thrown to the wayside. And this book should be pretty interesting and enlightening because he's just such a amazing, powerful artist for the time of like music that we have that he put out. And I think the story is going to be very interesting, and I can't wait to read this book. I think that's really great, and I'm glad to know that he is alive and kicking. So rock on, man.
Rock and roll. Also, Woodstock, right? They played Woodstock?
Correct.
Great set.
They played like every major big
Fantastic set.
festival in the 60s.
Yeah, fantastic set.
This past weekend, the long-awaited release by U2 came out, Songs of Surrender. It contains 80 songs. It is 2 hours and 45 minutes long.
I thought it was only 40 songs.
Nope, it's 80. It's 20 songs for each member of the band. It is all re-recorded songs from their catalog. And we were going to listen to it and review it. And me being the biggest U2 fan of us, I made it like 2.5 songs before I threw in the towel.
Yeah. Yeah, we listened. They released a couple singles, I think, at first, right?
I
we
listened
tried
to
it.
the pre-release singles, and I did not like them. It sounded like they were like, we got to re-record these, and then they grabbed like coffee and an iPhone recorder, and then like did them in the room around a coffee table.
And that's like the vibe they're going for, is like just in the room, dry vocals. It was mostly Bono and The Edge doing everything. Like Larry Mullen barely played on it, and Adam Clayton played on most of it. But
I already played on this.
But super like low, understated bass. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. And I do love what I love from U2, which is, I would say I really do love about a third of their catalog.
So here's the
like
question.
The middle part.
U2 fans out there, did you like this record?
Yeah.
Is this like a record you thought they did? Or is there any versions of the songs maybe that you thought were better? Because that's interesting too.
It would be interesting to open that dialogue, because I know I have met some U2 fans, and U2 fans are kind of like deadheads for U2. There's a lot
fanatic.
of people who are very into U2, follow them around and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it'd be interesting. Anybody listening, if you're a U2 fan, please let us know what you thought about it, because I'm interested.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like one of those like quote unquote end of the career type of retrospective, because they are all, I mean, I would say like between probably 65-ish years old.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're all like born in the late 50s. I just didn't think it was very good quality, so I don't think it's really was necessary. And definitely, I can't imagine sitting through almost 3 hours.
It seems a bit like retreading, but you know.
Yeah.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Do you have any more music news?
I have just one more thing before we leave. The woman who is on the Woodstock cover with her boyfriend at the time and then married, Bobby Kelly Eckerlin, I believe is her last name. She passed away over the weekend.
Oh.
So I just wanted to shout out a rest in peace. She married the man she's with on the cover, and they were married for 54 years. So that's like just a really good love story, I think, that popped out of that cover and that event in that day. And I wanted to, just rest in peace her real fast, because she has an iconic moment on the album cover, and I think was the is one of the icons of the hippie generation. So rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Into a strong 54-year marriage.
Yeah.
That's
a good run.
Man.
That's some good
That's some strong shit. It was like I was in love for half a century.
Love was never ending.
No.
Peace, love, and Woodstock.
Well, there's music news. This has been music news.
This has been music news.